Hi everyone, it's Paul. Change from the norm. Usually I do these videos in the evening, but I'm doing the video for day 3, which is now tomorrow, Thursday. Now because, well, put it blunt, Liverpool have got a game tonight, and by the time I finish watching all the racing, going through the form, it would have got a bit tight, and I want to make sure you guys have got all your videos for day 3. Uh, yeah, day 1 was, whoa, that was carnage, wasn't it? Still reflecting on that really, really strange day. Hopefully, we get clear sailing today, the Wednesday, and now this is the video for the Thursday. Now, the Thursday kicks off with the 1:30, which is the JLC Novices Chase. I don't think it's necessarily a great race, this, but there is 4 or 5 horses that are really good. I think there's also a lot of also-rans. The honourable mentions, the one who aren't making up my 3, starting with Real Steel for Willie Mullins. Willie Mullins has obviously made a flying start to the week, but in the typical fashion, the ones you don't think are going to win, go and win. The ones you do think are going to go very close, don't, or in Benny de Duke's case, just really unlucky. But Real Steel has done it well from the front, 2 easy wins in lesser races. He's disappointed though on his only run here. He's done it from the front, and I don't think he's necessarily going to get his own way out there today. I think he'll go run really well, but I just don't think for the 1, 2, 3 for me today. Kilder Start is the other one to mention because he's 2 from 3 this season, including a course and distance win. But the only worry I've got is there, his best piece of form was beating Highway 101, and that did disappoint yesterday on day 1. Which I'm a guy of form, as you know, so that semi-worries me, really. Vindication. This is a really strange horse. He had won every single race and then came 3rd to the top 2 in the market in this same race at Sandown. Last time seemed to get outpaced. About 10 days ago, the trainer whipped him out and says, I'm not happy with him. He hasn't run well. And then 24 hours later, oh, I've changed my mind. He's in. And it was so strange because obviously he drifted out to like God knows what price on Betfair and then came all the way back in again. But he is a top horse. And what I liked about it was, even though he lost his unbeaten record and only came 3rd at Sandown, he did stay on. He seemed to be tap for toe and then one pace, which makes me think this hill should suit. But what is tempering me is if he wasn't 100% and then he seemed to bounce back, even if he's not fully wound up, it's a bit of a risk. But I'm going to put him in the 3, just taking the trainer at his word. But that leaves the 2 at the moment pretty much co-favourites in the market, starting with Defi de Soil, completely rejuvenated this season, completely lost the plot last year, didn't know what day it was, but this year completely rejuvenated, beat Top of the Game, who we're going to get into in the RSA a bit later on. And what actually happened was he lost to Lost in Translation at Cheltenham over this course and distance, and then reverse the form back on good to soft ground, which is something you always like to see. He's obviously a very good hurdler. Something must have been staggeringly wrong with him last year, but Philip Hobbs's yard wasn't necessarily firing, if you ask me, last year. So, yeah, you'd have to give him a good chance. Lost in Translation, as I said, he is so tied in with Defi de Soil. Beat him, got overtaken, and then came back up the Cheltenham Hill to win, and then Defi de Soil overturned that and Lost in Translation just couldn't quite regain him in. He had an earlier second to La Bagoire as well, and that is seeming to be a pretty good form line, but without her running at the festival, we don't know. I'm just, and I mean by a whisker, going for Lost in Translation. They are, on my ratings that I do it, exactly level, him and Defi, but he has a course and distance win and just seemed to outstay Defi de Soil up the hill. And you know what, it wouldn't surprise me if Defi completely maintained the form, but I like course and distance form too, so I'm just going with Lost in Translation. 1, 2, 3 then, Lost in Translation from Defi de Soil and Vindication. 2:10 is an absolute nightmare of a race, always is, and that is the Pertemps Final handicap hurdle. I know it's favourite, but I am all about Sierre de Burlay here. There's been money around for this all winter, even back in November, December. I keep a track on festival moves like every single month literally from Saturday. I'll be doing it. Came 4th in the Martin Pipe hurdle, seemed to need further, just stayed on all the way up the hill and couldn't reel them all in. With me, he was, and you shouldn't say it, he just wasn't tried with in the Irish qualifier. He came 5th on pretty much under hands and heels. He wasn't given a tough time. He snuck in the last place that he needed to get in. He's been kept fresh for this, and I think this is a plot horse, if you ask me. I think A Plutard was yesterday, and that proved it was, and I think this one is too. I love First Assignment, who's in here, and he's a crazy price, I think, at 10-1. He's unbeaten at the course, but fair enough, it was on the old course. Now, for me, it's fundamental here, the old course and the new course. I was reading a great article about a horse called Furlong for Philip Hobbs. His record on the new course, or the old course, was staggering, never out the first three, bar one. But then on the new course, he only once finished in the first four. It's a lot tighter, the new course, compared to the old course. So if he can translate the form, First Assignment, great. And if you actually look at his two losses he's had in handicap company, one of it, he only went down a length and a quarter to Paisley Park, who's favourite for the Stayers Hurdle. And the other one was behind Keeper Hill, who himself is a very, very good horse. And I think First Assignment is absolutely booked for the top three. He likes big fields. He comes late in the day usually, and it should be run to suit. The one I don't know what to make of is Not What I Am for Dan Skelton. I did this one on Beecher Chase Day when it was at the course at Aintree, and turning in, I honestly thought it was going to get pulled up. It was absolute last, about 5 lengths off the second to last night. To be honest with you, I almost lost interest in the race. And then he stayed on, flew home and got third. And he did it again at Warwick last time in a decent race. He's got his head in front once, but the way he runs suggests off 10 stone 13, he is dangerously well in. But I think for while he's dangerously well in for the tactics, I do think he's an awkward horse, and it's his head carriage that sometimes gets me. When he starts to make his move, his head lugs to the left a bit. So that's the only reason I haven't got him in the top three. Samburu Suja, or Samburu Shuja, yeah, whatever, for Philip Hobbs and Richard Johnson is interesting because he's improving. He's a front runner, but his worst form and his poorer runs have come on softer ground when not getting an easy lead. And I don't think he's going to get either here today, which tempers me enthusiasm for it somewhat. One who is overpriced at 25-1, and I am putting him in the frame, is yet another Irish raider, which is Atois Phil, known as a very, very decent a decent chaser, not necessarily of these stayers trips, but I think he's crying out for this trip nowadays. He came fourth in the qualifier, quite tenderly handled, staying on all the way to the line. The slight worry is he's never left Ireland. He's always running Ireland. He's never come over here. But who's to say he won't handle it? And he does look like definitely worth a try as a stay-in hurdler. And he's on a very good mark. It's always difficult, this race, but from a 1, 2, 3, I'm going for Sierre de Burley from First Assignment and Atois Phil. The 250 is the Stayers Hurdle is technically the feature, but I think this is always the feature for me on day 3. And it's the Ryanair Group 1 2 mile 4 chase. And it is another awesome renewal of this race. The favourite is Footpad. Amazing novice last year, won the Arkle under a great ride from Ruby Walsh. But for me, he hasn't hit the heights this year. Fell when beaten behind St. Calvados first run, and then came second. And what I didn't like of his second, I think it was to Simply Ned. He got to the front, and then the horse who was under pressure carried on and got past him, and he just didn't seem to have the turn of foot. I think the step up to this trip is ideal, but I don't think Footpad has quite hit the heights of what he did last year. And at 7-2, I think he's plenty short enough. I actually prefer the other Willie Mullins horse, Undasu, because what is there not to love about this horse? He's won this race before. He was second last year. He comes second to Altior in the Tingle Creek, so he's still got it, basically. It's as simple as that. He's 11 now, though. I think he should still be bang there, but I just think something's going to improve about him. You never know. He could be another Alberta's run who used to just come alive for this race. But I think he'll be very good. I think he'll wear his heart on his sleeve. But I think a younger pair of legs might just take him. Road to Respect. I respect the decision, no pun intended, of dropping back. He came fourth in last year's Gold Cup, and I don't think he conclusively got the trip. So I think the step back to 2.5 mile will suit him. The one worry I do have, though, he's always seemed to lack pace over this trip. He's a hold-up horse, and he stays on at the end. And I just hope they make more of a use of him. Looking back on day one, I can't believe the ride on hardline. As I said, I thought 2.5 mile would be more his trip, but he should be staying on at the end. And he was to a degree, but they held him up 8 miles out the back, and it wasn't the way to do it. So I'd like to see Road of Respect a bit more forward here. Frodon, gotta love him, multiple course and distance winner, clung on in the Gold Cup trial to win by a length with the race sun to suit. But again, did he conclusively get it? Got an easy lead. The move to not go for the Gold Cup, I think, was a sensible move because this is his ideal course and distance and everything here. The one big worry I've got is, and I encourage everyone to go and look on the Racing Post website, Frodon's form tails off March, April, May, and it's not done it once, it's done it 3 years in a run. It tails off, and that is always a worry for me. One, I am putting in the 3, and people may think I'm a bit crazy, but I've just got a feeling for it at 40-1, and that is ASO. He came third in this 2 years ago when he got hampered and wasn't in the same form he's been this time around. He's had 2 wins already this year after a year off with an injury, which was brilliant. I think you can forget last time it came 6 of 6 behind Surname, but Surname completely took everyone off the game with an unbelievable leading round of jumping. Plus, look at ASO, he has done nothing ever right-handed. He clearly needs to go left-handed. So if you can put a line through that run last time out, which I'm happy to do, I think 40-1's a crazy price. And I think he'll be in, I've got a feeling he'll be in the 3. But for the winner, I'm going for a horse who people who have my WhatsApp service know I absolutely adore, which is the very, very classy Monolly. Tipped him up for an easy Group 2 win latest when I think he was 6-4 at the time I said it, and I said he should be 1-3, 1-2, because he'll walk it, and he duly did. But even in the race before that, in a Group 1, he came second to Kenboy over 3 miles. He came second in the RSA last year, where I think he was a doubtful stayer. Okay, I'm not saying anybody would have beaten Presenting Percy in that RSA, but I still don't think he fully gets that trip. And I think there's form on that this season. So I think this intermediate trip is absolutely fine. He doesn't have to front run. He can be prominent. And he has got such an engine on him, this horse. And at 5-1, I think he is a great bet, Monolly. 1, 2, 3 then is Monolly from Undasu. And yeah, I'm putting ASO in there because you've got to take a flyer on these, don't you, sometimes? The 3:30 is the Stayers Hurdle, which is, as I said, technically the feature of day 3. Group 1 over 3 miles. And it is a really tough renewal this year. It's all been about Paisley Park for Emma Lavelle, Aidan Coleman. 4 from 4 this year. And he has improved literally out of nowhere because last season he was not even average. He was quite poor, actually. Came 13th in the Albert Bartlett. That's some indication of how unfancied he was. He wasn't even close in the betting for it, to be honest with you. But this year, he's 4 from 4. On his comeback run, he actually beat my old horse, Forecast, who came 3rd at Aintree. And went from strength to strength, won the long walk, destroyed them in the Cleve, beat West Approach, who reopposes here, but seemingly on that form would have no chance. The one worry I've got with this horse has so many similarities to Sam Spinner, who I didn't fancy last year, in that improvement suddenly come out of nowhere, ends up going up short price favourite, and you don't know if they've been making hay in these decent races that they've been running in, and, well, the bigger yards have been thinking all about Cheltenham, and it's 6-4. I can't have it. I'm really sorry for those who fancy it. I can't have it because there's so much quality in here. I'm not saying he's not going to win with ease, but there's no value there. And I'm actually, and it's a bit of a controversial one, I'm not even putting him in the top 3. I'm also not putting in the top 3, so watch them come first and second now. Faheen, I love this horse. He's awesome. Gorgeous horse to look at. But he's 11 years old now. He fell last time behind Apple's Jade, and realistically, we don't know what would have happened. We honestly don't know. It's his first run on the new course, and all of it, he likes the big galloping tracks, the likes of your Leopardstown, your Punchestowns, the old course at Cheltenham. I don't know if the new course will necessarily suit him. He was a breeze, easy winner of the 3-mile equivalent at the Punchestown Festival last April. But if you actually look at it, that was his only completed or good run in 6. He's 11 now. And I think if he doesn't fire today, they might say, goodbye to him. And do you know what? He owes no one nothing. I've had some great memories with him at the festival. Bacardi's is another honourable mention. Fell at the last when charging home. He possibly would have been booked for a place, maybe second or third. When falling at the last time, he's had no form since, but he clearly likes Cheltenham. So if he suddenly bounces back, you couldn't put people off him. Super Sunday. Again, what is there not to like about this horse? Only 3 times has he been out the top 4 in 19 jump races, mostly in graded in the highest level. To do that, you are 1, some trainer, and 2, you're some horse to do that at 19 races in a run, coming in the top 4 on 16 occasions. Came second in this last year, but got wound up beforehand, and he's done this twice at Cheltenham, reading what the Racing Post says, gets very hot, very on his toes. He only got beat 2 lengths last year by Penn Hill, and you never know if he got himself wound up. I think he's booked for a place again, but with how he behaves in the prelims, I think it's a worry. Now it leaves so I've actually got him booked for third. Now for my top 2, I've actually gone for 2 very big prices, and I'm just coming down just on the side of one horse. The horse who I'm putting for second place, but I've literally got 1 point between them, literally, is 16-1, and it is top notch. Very interesting horse. He came third on his comeback run in the long walk to Paisley Park, but looking back at Betfair statistics, he hit at 2 out, he hit even money in running. That's how well he was going. And jumping 2 out, he just blew up, and he got beaten 10 lengths, dropped back to third. It was watch the race back, I would recommend. He so needed that run. He's fresh for this. He's a very good horse. He's run 3 times at the festival and beat this: second in a Triumph Hurdle, 5th in a Champion Hurdle, and 2nd in a JLT Chase. So he does turn up. He does get competitive on the big day. And the only reason I've not tipped him up is because the horse I've gone with has actually done it on the big day. And that horse I'm actually going for, and it is a bit of a shock, is Kilbrickenstorm for Colin Tizard. Won the Albert Bartlett over this course and distance on the same going last year. So he'd been here, he's done it, and he won it very well. And backed it up with only just going down in the 3-mile equivalent at the Punchestown Festival at the end of April. It was a flash in the pan. It was a very good performance at Cheltenham. He's been off since a very poor chase run behind Santini, where he made mistakes. But do you know what? He got the job done over fences on debut and did it really well at Fostlass from the front in soft ground, dug in. But I think they've made the decision he's a better hurdler, and I'm just hoping he's going to emulate a Big Bucks, who people said Big Bucks can't jump a fence. Yeah, he fell, or he unseated when he would have won probably the Hennessy. He won a big race, Big Bucks, over fences at Aintree. He just wasn't quite as good. It took him out of his comfort zone. Kilbrickenstorm as well has run twice over course and distance at Cheltenham, and he's won both times. He's won at the festival, and at 14-1, I think he is a cracking each way bet. And some bookies are even going top 4 for the Stayers Hurdle, so look out for that. 1, 2, 3 then, Kilbrickenstorm from Super Sunday and Top Notch. Following the Stayers Hurdle is a complete carnage race again, which is the Brown Plate Handicap Chase, Grade 3 over 2-mile 4, where you could make a case for a lot of them. River Wild is interesting for Nicky Henderson. He was cruising when he fell at the last of Haydock and was lame since. He was entered for the Ryanair until 2 weeks ago and seemingly has gone for this. He's very classy. He's got good form. The one worry I've got with him is he's had a couple of big injury layoffs, so he's clearly very brittle, and he's been off since even when he fell at Haydock. But you've got to know him on his known stand-up form, and when he stands up, he is an exceptional horse. Janika is the favourite, and I'm kind of surprised, really. He's had 2 seconds in 2 UK starts, including course and distance latest when he was too keen. He's always been too keen in his races. And for me, getting a horse that's keen, add the occasion of the festival, it spells, you know, if someone's going to disappoint, it's a horse like this. He's very good, and he's very well tied in with my selection. But I just worry about the occasion for him, especially because twice he's been very keen. My number 1 pick for this is Siru Delac. He actually beat Janika latest over course and distance. And what I like is, though, this horse is tough. He races prominent, but he only just gets the job done. And when you think they're coming back, he finds more, finds more, finds more. It's a bit like what I'm hoping for Battle Over Doyen in the opener today. And for that reason, I don't think the handicapper's got to the bottom of him yet. And I think he's going to keep on improving, and Nick Williams can get real improvement out of these horses. An honourable mention's got to be mentioned as well to Spirit of the Games, 5th in the county. He's got some decent chase figures, but I just worry that he doesn't hold anything from the handicapper, because he always runs well, with quite often without being good enough, and that would be a concern. Colondra is another one which nearly made my 3. Runs his best races at Cheltenham, and he was actually going really well in what was the Paddy Power Gold Cup. I think it's now actually called, well, was called the Bet-Bright Gold Cup, but it's not going to be called that again. And he was cruising when he fell. He's actually been subsequently punished since then by the handicapper, and has run some decent races. But, sorry, my cat's walking across the screen. Sorry, everyone. Off you go. Yeah, and since then, I think the handicapper's punished him, really. And I think he'll run well, but without getting into the places. Azerty is another one, is on a dangerous mark for Alan King, but his jumping has not been good in any of the starts. But if it improves, he could be very well in. But with jumping issues, you've got a big problem. One I am putting in the 3, though, at a massive price, again at 40-1, is Valsur Lido. He's been placed in a Ryanair and a JLT. And, you know, you've got to be half decent. Do you know, and his return run, his first run back, was really, really good, and proved there was still some life in the old boy yet. But his form's tailed off since, but he runs well here. He's been freshened up for a run at this meeting. Clearly, they've gone for a handicap rather than the group races he's been contesting at previous festivals. And if he gets a spark of recovery, it could be enough to run into the flame. But from a 1, 2, 3... it's always hard, isn't it, these type of races? I'm going for Cyril Delac from River Wild and Valsur Lido. The 450 is a great race, and I'm looking forward to it. And it is the Dawn Run Mers Novice Hurdle, Group 1, over 2 miles for Mers novices. And this is all about Epatante. This horse, nothing, literally, I've watched all the races back last night, nothing has got her off the bridle since her debut in France, and she really reminds me of Forheen. Okay, so not Forheen, sorry, Lorena. Not the Lorena in the champion hurdle yesterday, but the one that pulverised this field last year. He's only had 2 runs in the UK, bags more to come. She's got so much class, and it would take either a Benny Day Deux full, I think, or just something like a shock result not to beat this one. It's 2-1 in places. I think that's a staggering price. Posh Trish is going to be the one to challenge it in the market, I think. And why not? 4 from 5 over hurdles, including 2 listed races. A very, very tough horse. And if there's any inexperience or showboating from Epatante, this is going to be the horse to do it. I just suspect that Epatante could be right out of the top drawer, if I'm being honest. Next in the market is actually Signoria. 2 from 3, was only just beaten over 2 miles on debut, and then so that was that one there. Then won easily over 2.5, and just got up close home at the latest. That is making me think this horse needs a proper 2.5 mile race. Even though they're going to go hard and could be staying on at the end, I think 2 miles is going to be plenty short enough for it. Willie Mullins has won this obviously last year, and he's got no obvious contender, even though he's got a Wath in the field here in terms of outsiders. Ruby Walsh picks the ride here on My Sister Sarah. You know, looks decent, 4 from 5 in the UK, stays 2 mile 3 and travels well, but the ratings of what she's done suggest she needs a lot more to beat what Epatante and Posh Trish have done. And so on the form, should run well, but not be good enough. Same as well for Sancta Simona for Willie Mullins. Grade 1 second to Aramron yesterday. There's 2 things here. One, Aramron came there in the Supreme, stopped quickly and dropped back. I think came 6th or 7th in the end. But what worried me is, though, is she cruised up to Aramron in that race and then just stopped. And I just wonder again if this horse will need 1 offence and 2 further in time. One I am putting in the frame, though, and again, people who follow the WhatsApp will know I love this horse, and that is Queen of Hearts. Really likeable, tough battling mare. Loves soft ground. Done all of her winning over furthest. However, did win a listed bumper 2 miles soft. And while I don't think she's necessarily got the class of the top two, you know she's going to go down fighting. And that's what you can ask for at the Cheltenham Festival, I think. And 16 to 1's a great price. 1, 2, 3 then, Epatante from Posh Trish and Queen of Hearts. Which brings us on to the last race of day 3, which hopefully goes a lot better than the other amateur race yesterday, which we had the 4 miler. But day 3 has the Kim Muir handicap chase, 3 mile 2, class 2. And let's just hope we don't get the carnage of day 1. Sky Pirate is an honourable mention. Was going well here when he fell 2 out last time he ran up the course, I should say. But what gets me, he should get the trip, but he's always run from soft ground. As soon as it's gone soft, he's been whipped out. And even though it's windy, what am I looking out the window for? Cheltenham's 200 odd mile away. It's windy now, which might dry out the new course a bit. It's going to be very dead, soft ground, and that worries me slightly for Sky Pirate. Any second now, Ted Walsh. He's got decent efforts behind Chris's Dream, who's gone on again. Auvergnat, who's fancied for the cross country today. And Mortal, who's got an each way shout in the RSA. And Discorama, who just went down in the 4 mile yesterday. But what gets me is with this, Derek O'Connor's book, which is good, he's gone down without ever threatening. And I wanted this horse to go for the 4 miler and it didn't. And that just worries me. He just seems to be a bit of a plodder, one pace. But if we do get the associated carnage again, then he could run on and sneak a place. In the same colours of McManus is no comment. My biggest issue I've got with this, I've got to abandon him now. I've always tipped him up. Always promised, never delivered. And he's had one chance too many for me now. Watch him go and win, because he is going to go in one day at a huge price. I just know it. But then it brings me to my top 3. And the horse I'm going for is Measure of My Dreams for Gordon Elliott, Jody Card Riding. Came 3rd in the 4 miler 2 years ago. It just stretched him too far. But what I like here is he was with Noel Mead, pottering around just off the places, moved to Gordon Elliott under a very easy ride, came 3rd on his only run, hands and heels, clearly put away for this, had no other entries, and I feel another plot is in the making and I can't abandon it. For the places though, it's all guesswork for Elliott as well. I'm actually going for the Elliott 1-2. He's got bits and pieces of form and again is threatening to be dangerously well handicapped. He had a prep run over hurdles, came 3rd without being realistically tried. 11 stone 1 here. It's all guesswork is very, very well in. I just hope the plot is the Elliott second string doesn't beat the first. And anyone, again, who follows WhatsApp will know I will be so happy to see my old mate Seymour Lauch, I always say this, I don't know how to pronounce it, coming over from Ireland, got in at the final reserve, it looks like now. Never out the top 2 on apart from once in something like his last 7 runs. Stays, loves soft ground, a bit of a plodder, but moves well in his races. And I can't not put him in. Actually, at 33 to 1, I would love to see him make the top 4. And some bookies are doing top 5. I'm certainly going to be having even a pound each way because I love the horse. And I hope he makes a frame. Always a tough ending. But 1, 2, 3 here. Measure of My Dreams from It's All Guesswork and Seymour Like. That's it for day 3. Always let me know what you're doing for day 2 and day 3. Good luck, and yeah, day 4, the final day, will be on tomorrow. Cheers, guys. See you soon.